Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Gone Gaming and of course another episode of Mauna Key. So we are back in the small town of Kona that we built out in the last couple of episodes. We're going to be expanding it just a little bit more and kind of finishing things up today. But first, if you're new to the channel, I just want to welcome you to the city of Mauna Key. It is my current tropical island city build for 2021 for City Skylines. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely check out my other stuff and subscribe. And guys, certainly leave a like if you do enjoy the video, even if you're a long-time viewer, because that certainly helps me get this video out to more people. So I really appreciate that. But what you're seeing me do on screen right now is just kind of jumping into the build details. We're just starting with a little bit of like a public housing area. So basically today, because we have those big farms on the other side of the highway, I wanted to build out kind of an industrial area and start our train infrastructure to get things kind of moving with that and get goods moving from those farms to other parts of the island, especially once we expand out more. So we're gonna have a cool like train depot. We're gonna do some factories and such, but first I just wanted to get a little more housing and things like that down. So we're just gonna finish building out that, and then I will see you guys when we get started a little bit on our industrial stuff. Real quick though, before we jumped into the industrial side of today's build, I did want to add some more commercial stuff as well. So real quick, we just added in a little bit of it's an Ingles grocery store, and we're going to just do a couple other little builds on the side that I'm not going to show in the video, but they are there. You'll see them in the live play, just to kind of flesh out the bit of town that we have before we move towards the industrial center that we're going to build out. Cool, so now moving on to the meat and potatoes of today's build. I really wanted to get the train infrastructure down early in Mauna Key. San Pedro, my rail infrastructure was a mess. It just kind of sprawled out randomly. I really wanted to have it a little more planned out, especially as I've been playing more transportation games in the time since San Pedro. I kind of have a better idea of what to do. Keeping it real simple, we're just going to be doing a one-way line kind of looping around the entire island to kind of service the different cities as they pop up. It's not going to be anything crazy. There's actually no outside rail connections in this city, so it's just going to be mostly local stuff, but I think it looks real nice and it kind of skirts along the waterway, which is cool. So we're going to detail the actual center, the distribution center or cargo hub in just a second, but just putting in the parking lots for it. I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different with this one and have like an access road for it and kind of spread them out and just have like a bunch of different little parking lots that will keep secure and things like that. And we'll jump into putting more factories down in just a little bit. So now we're going to start detailing out the actual cargo station itself. We got some cool like dirt decals to make the, surface painter dirt look a little more realistic and messed up. Obviously putting some cracks in around it and, where there's going to be a lot of cargo and a lot of machinery coming in and out. This is not going to be the best looking asphalt, so I wanted to make it look real messed up. And we're just going to do a bunch of industrial props, a bunch of different containers and things like that I've gotten off the workshop, and these real cool cranes that kind of make it a little bit, in my opinion. I think it just helps to kind of envision those putting these little boxes on these containers onto trains as they come through. I think it looks real nice when it's in motion. And we're just going to do a big container yard. We're going to have kind of just some random industrial props off to the side and just edge it in. I think it ends up looking really good. I think this whole area is one of my favorite industrial areas I've done. I think it kind of kept its theme very nicely. Let me know what you guys think down below. But we're going to finish building out the little bit of cargo yard here and then kind of jump into more of the factories and things like that. So one big problem I did run into was trying to get these trailers and things to fit somewhat realistically with the fencing. Obviously, there is not a lot of room for them to maneuver right now. So I ended up kind of just shoving them back into the loading dock a little bit. Obviously, if you go in close, there's a lot of clipping, but from far away, it still looks okay. And I ended up moving the road and the fence a few different times to just kind of get it to fit just a little bit better. Still not great, but it leads, does the job. So now we're moving on to doing our factories and things like that. So I'm using, it's called, I think just if you look up on the workshop, Modular Factory Pack, there's I think 2 or 3 of them at this point now, and then just a bunch of different factories that I found on the workshop that I kind of liked, that I felt fit together. The modular packs are great because it lets you do a bunch of different designs in different areas using 1 or 2 packs. You can make a whole bunch of different things and kind of fit them together in unique ways each time. So I always love using them. I think they just make it a lot easier. I am kind of mixing the concrete and brick pack. I don't mind doing it because if you've ever seen industrial properties, they're just kind of shambling puzzles of additions to each other. So maybe they use brick one time, maybe they use concrete the other time, maybe it was all brick and then they put some concrete in, who knows? So I'm just kind of mixing it up and just trying to make them look unique, honestly, and look pleasing to my eye at the very least. And we're going to end up with what I think is a pretty cool industrial area. We kind of start out with it being fairly plain looking when it's just the buildings, but I think with the fencing and the details we do, you can kind of delineate the spaces really well, and it makes a very compelling industrial area. So like I was saying earlier, I think when it comes to industrial areas, solid fence work is key. I think, you want to have the lots really separated, especially if you're going to be putting down like different items or like, different products around it. You want to make sure that they have their own delineated spaces. And I think kind of mixing the tall chain link fence with the shorter regular chain link fence and just kind of having that difference in heights and stuff. I don't know. I think it just adds something to look at when you're going into these areas. I think when each factory is just a standalone building and there's nothing really in its footprint, that's when, I just don't think they look as good. So now, again, just kind of adding to the footprint of some of these buildings. I got this rusty warehouse here. I'm just kind of adding in more or less like maybe this is like a reclamation area. So there's the dump right next to it. Maybe these guys go in and take like construction materials and stuff out of it, or things that can be reclaimed before it all gets processed at the dump. Who knows? Again, with industrial areas, like I've said before, you can really do whatever you want with them. Throw whatever makes you feel good in them, because there's always random stuff in industrial areas. You can do whatever you want with it. So just kind of filling in this area with some of the props I have, and we're going to kind of do the same thing floating around the different factories you just saw me put down. But like I said, I think it ends up looking really good. It ends up coming out as kind of like, I like it when it looks like one whole area, right? So everything kind of mixes together to have that theme, to kind of build together to make a cool looking area rather than just a bunch of standalone buildings. So we're going to continue editing and putting in more props on this area. And then we got one last build at the end here to kind of finish out Kona, and we'll jump into the live play. So I'll see you in a little bit. So like I said, to finish out today, I did want to do one more build, mostly because I just noticed this kind of big area of blank space between the residential area and the industrial area. So I wanted to connect it a little bit. And I thought a good thing here, a good thing to put down here would be our bus depot. So I got this city bus depot off of the workshop. I really like it because it's got like a cool kind of 1950s Art Deco vibe to it. I think too, with this being a tropical area, maybe I'm trying to, grab a little bit of the inspiration from Cuba. They have a lot of the old Art Deco architecture there, and certainly like old school 1950s cars and things. And I just always loved that kind of mystique about that area whenever I see it in movies or like in documentaries and things. So I thought this would be a cool place to put down this kind of Art Deco bus depot. And then we got some cool buses off the workshop that really fit that kind of like 1950s vibe there, and look cool for tropical buses. But we're going to go through and kind of really make this area pretty. We're going to be using the curb line tool, which I've actually grown to love now that I've kind of gotten used to it. I think for me, I've realized to use it properly and effectively, I gotta just kind of put down the lines of curb first and then use move it to get it to the shape that I want. I think when I just try to draw the lines themselves, I always end up with something a little wonky, but if I just set the move it to use nodes and segments and kind of move it around the way I want, I think it's worked out pretty well. So we're going to go through and kind of edit up this depot a little bit, and then by the end of this we'll be done with the build and jump into the live play section for you. So as I'm finishing up the parking lot for the depot here, we're going to kind of do a last little bit of detailing with just a little mechanic area over by the depot itself here. And then of course, you know me, I can't keep pristine concrete, so we're going to add in a bunch of cracks and breaks and things like that to just make it look a little more realistic. And then finally, if you've been wondering throughout the build why I've left so many kind of wonky concrete surface painter edges around my fences and stuff, we're going to go ahead and rectify that at the end here by doing some landscaping and kind of pulling in the natural landscaping that we've been doing throughout Mauna Key so far, just to get it looking good and get the edges of the concrete looking a little bit better from a bird's eye view. But that is going to do it for the build here today, guys. We're going to jump into a live play section, so stick around for that and then some cinematic shots. If you've been enjoying the video, like I said, it helps me so much if you like it, and it you know, obviously helps it get out to more people, so I really appreciate that. But I'll see you guys in the live play section. Hey everybody, we are in the live play section of today's build. I hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse. Thanks for sticking around this far. If you've been enjoying it, consider leaving a like. But let's go ahead and jump into what we built here today. So we are still in our city, or well, town of Kona. I keep saying city just because of the name of the game, but this is more of a town for sure, of Kona, that we built out in the last episode. So we built out this area over here with our trailer park and just a little bit of kind of main street in the last episode. And then today, what I wanted to do is just expand it a little bit further and get our industrial kind of zoning set up. And as you can see, we of course have the train tracks here. I wanted to start getting our railway set up as well. So we started by just doing a little bit of like public housing here. These are assets by King Leno off his other side of the town pack, or collection, excuse me. So we just did that, put in like some trash areas behind them and just kind of messed up the concrete a little bit and put in these parking lots, which are getting used a ton, which is great. And then on the other side, just added a couple little more things for, you know, commercial areas there. So just like a liquor store and some like payday loans and just random things there. And then over here, we of course have our big supermarket. So that's an easy build to do. I just put in a little parking lot in back, some like loading areas and things like that. And then of course, just the parking lot in the front. And then we just have a diner right here. Over here, this was towards the end of the build, but this is, for some reason, first of all of the trees went away, so that's a little annoying. I'll have to come back and fix that later. But this is our bus depot. So we'll scroll in here, got a little maintenance area here. These are actually going to be our active buses that we're going to be using here, so I'll go into one of those in the parking lot and show you that a little bit more. I will go back and fix all this, but this is just a little parking area for this area over here, and then of course where the buses hang out. So I got these cool like kind of old style 1950s art deco-ish kind of buses here to run our bus lines. I just think they look nice. I think kind of with this being an island, I think maybe I wanted to go with a little bit of a Cuban feel with that. I know they have a lot of like old 1950s vehicles that still run and everything, that at least you see that when you watch like documentaries and stuff. So I kind of wanted just to have that vibe there. I think they look cool for a tropical theme. And then of course we have our big industrial area that the trains have been running in and out of. That's looking pretty cool over here. So we have our big loading dock right here. Whoa. That was fun. I don't know why he did that. I'll go back and look at that later. But we have our big loading dock right here. So just a bunch of random loading props and things like that. And then using the modular industry pack and some like rusty warehouses and stuff, I just went in and kind of filled in just a generic industrial area, not really theming it at all, just kind of putting stuff down where it fits and making it look like there's a lot of industry and movement and things like that. So just having different workers and pallets and things like that, just moving on throughout here. So that is today's build, guys. So right now I will show you our train runs kind of all the way around over through to here, and there's like a little cargo port that I put over here. Eventually we'll do something else with this, but that way at least trains will actually run cargo back and forth over here. That's kind of why I did that. But yeah, I think it all looks pretty good. I think it came out looking nice. I think that's gonna just about do it for the town of Kona now that it's kind of spread down through here. I think it's looking big enough, and we're gonna kind of move on to some other builds. But let me know what you guys thought of this build today. Definitely leave a like down below if you enjoyed it, and you know, if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. We got new City Skylines stuff coming out pretty much weekly, and you know, it's usually cool builds like this. And definitely let me know what you guys would like to see on the channel in Mauna Key. I know I got some builds that I'm thinking of, but I love hearing from you guys down in the comments below. But I'm going to leave you with some cinematic shots of today's build, guys, and let you enjoy those. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.